Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I today have Shannon Hughes, Vice President of Digital and Media Strategy at Lessing Flynn. So, really excited to have her. Shannon, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Thanks so much for having me. Yes, my name is Shannon Hughes, and I am the Vice President of Digital and Media Strategy at Lessing Flynn, which you already know from that lovely intro. I have been with Lessing Flynn for the last decade, but serving in the agency space for the greater part of 15 years. And working primarily in the B2B manufacturing ag construction space, but have a lot of experience with clients that fall out of that in finance, and healthcare, higher education as well. In my role, I oversee our performance department, which is a little unique to Lessing Flynn. We don't have a social media department and a digital department and a paid media department. Instead, we have our performance team, which allows us to be a little bit more channel agnostic as we work through solutions for our clients. So I oversee all of that scope of work across our clients, and I also actively serve as a member of our leadership team.
That's amazing. That's actually now it got me curious. So, when did you come up with the strategy of having a media agnostic team? That one sounded really interesting. If you want to talk about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, I have to give most of the credit here to our president, fourth generation family owner, Tom Flynn. It was really a vision he had, I think, maybe before I was even hired, as we saw the explosion of digital happening and people's consumption habits really diverging as that was exploding at the same time. But I came to Lessing Flynn with a media background, paid media, and I asked him if I could start a media department. And I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy specifically about our culture is we are willing to give our employees space to create and do great things. So 10 years later, I'm in the seat of overseeing the performance department. We are a team of 8 in an agency of 40. So more of that small to mid-ish size, if you will. So a pretty large area of business now for our clients. Yeah.
Love that. That sounds actually a great, fun place to work in. So I love that culture piece that you mentioned, Shannon. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tell me more about Lessing Flynn's specialty. I know you covered that a little bit, but just a little bit of the history and some of the core focus. Would love to know more.
Yeah, you bet. So we opened our doors in 1907.
Wow.
And like I mentioned, still family owned, but we are the longest standing independently owned advertising agency in America,
Wow.
which is fun. We're located in Des Moines, Iowa. We're really founded on the roots of that B2B space, like I mentioned, and have had the privilege of working with and continue to work with a lot of clients in that space. Even though we're located, kind of smack dab in the middle of the Midwest, we work with clients really throughout the country and globally to support their supply chain and sales channel marketing efforts. So yeah, that's a quick little overview, I suppose.
Amazing, amazing. That's amazing history. Thank you for that. Awesome. Let's jump in a little bit around some of the challenges and like the overall goal and how what did you face as a company before you sort of like explored TapClicks? That's just a high level like context of
Yeah.
the goal and the challenges.
You bet. So because of some of the niches we served, trade media is still actually very important and well used. Really natural and endemic to their spaces. We've got Farm Journal magazine and we have Construction Equipment magazine. And so as the digital space was exploding, it was a little bit of a race for those trade media opportunities and data sorts to try and catch up to that. So while we were racing with them to catch up, we were trialing a lot of things, whether it was with them or whether it was with new media types as programmatic was coming out. And we just found we were in the space of how many Excel pivot tables can I have and how many of them will break this reporting cycle. So we spent more time managing data than we did understanding data. And I think you can do that with anything, I suppose. But we felt like we weren't diving in to provide really clear insights or being able to make really smart optimizations or pivots because we were just trying to paint the story of what we already did instead of focus on what we were going to do. And so we wanted to look for a solution because we are at the time, we were a much smaller and mightier team. There were 3 of us in that space. When we brought that on, we needed something that was really integration friendly, that would do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. And that I remember when we demoed with TapClicks, I just thought that feels easy. And I think anytime you bring on a new tool, nonetheless around like data and analytics, and you're trying to normalize data from multiple sources, going from something as basic as an Excel spreadsheet to a really integrated system feels really overwhelmed. But TapClicks was one that I was pleasantly surprised with. Yeah, after that call, I was like, I can do this. We can do this. And that felt reassuring as, we were making those big decisions for our long-term, reporting platform.
Love that. Yeah, you touched upon a few things that I get excited about, like reporting and analytics and like data management. I love that. So question there, right? Like you have all these different clients from different sectors. So how's the expectations around data and reporting has changed for a lot of these clients that you service?
Yep. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to edit this out. Okay. Whew. So I think in terms of changing expectations, we have, I would say on the client side, I guess 2 things. One, the space is so fractured that they want somebody who can just tell them what's happening without them having to figure it out. We have a lot of those more in the stakeholders or higher seat and position spaces, where we also are seeing in-house marketing teams add seats that are individuals focused in digital media or web space who are really more interested in some of the more minute data details.
Right.
So it's finding a blend, in all honesty, in terms of the transformation. And I think that's what TapClicks is so good at doing, is because you're pulling in the data, it's really determining the data story you want to tell, instead of how do I get all this data connected, right? Because you've done that heavy lifting at the setup with the infrastructure of it. So I can create a separate report for my stakeholders, and I can create a separate report for clients who want more of that nitty-gritty data. So I don't think it's changed. I think a lot of times we still find it to be a little bit overwhelming for some of our clients. So it's how do we educate and support with the data story. I just think it's more about recognizing the need to tailor what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. So I come from a data background, and like building out big data infrastructure, like big data was a thing during my time, like Hadoop. And the part that I can see that changes is it doesn't matter how deep the data is. It does matter, and the infrastructure is important. But eventually, it needs to tell the right story to the right stakeholder. And I think that's important. Is like the same data with like 5 different stories, and that would also keep evolving. So I can see the value of all these like front end client reporting pieces that also can talk to the right data set, because again, the stories can change on the data. So
yeah, like, absolutely. And recognizing that I don't have to change that report. I can build it once and the data feeds. Right. I think that is what's key, right? Because then you're spending more time being like, what's happening in the data than how do I organize and tell the data story? You're doing that already. And I think, that may not be something our clients necessarily or inherently know that that's what we're doing, or they may not think about it that way. Right. But by, them becoming comfortable with a tool that we as an agency have decided to use, we're able to make smarter decisions for them, because we're not spending the time organizing the data. We're spending the time analyzing the data to make, decisions, recommendations, all the good things.
I see. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Like you're sort of trusting the data to do its job. And so then you can do the next level, the higher level stuff. I love that.
Absolutely.
Love that. Awesome. I know a lot of the work that you do, you kept mentioning of like how to be better at based on the performance, like how do you sort of plan? So how has that helped, like maybe for your internal teams, internal stakeholders, have you been using the platform, and do you have that need of planning? I would say like just that, like not client reporting, but internal planning.
Yeah. So, I think we see planning kind of happening in two buckets, right? Our clients come to us and say, hey, this might be the product launches we are having this year. Here are some trade shows. Here's some big initiatives we're going after. I mean, you name it, right? They're going to tell you all of their business goals for the year. And then we have to go and develop a really sound strategy to help them achieve their business goals. I think that's the true value we bring as an agency, is to not just do fluff marketing, but to say, this is really what we're solving for your business, and this is the part we play as your partner. I will say I find that some of my most effective TapClicks users are not always my clients, but my internal team members, especially our strategy department. Those are the individuals who are interfacing with the client on a day-to-day basis. They're so infused in their business and understand it really well, and are the ones who are helping to shape the recommendations or reach out to the video department to look for recommendations, or reaching out to individuals on the performance team to look for a paid media plan or a social media strategy for the next year, right? So they're the ones who spend a lot of time in the data before they even give us a lot of insight. They might say, hey, we're going to do a product launch this year, and I looked over the last 3 years, and these were the tactics we used to promote that in paid media, and here's what's worked really well. And, I'll sit back in those meetings and be just really proud and floored that they took the time to comb through what, individuals on my team would have done to provide a recommendation, because they feel so empowered by the data to drive smart planning. So I think that's really fun. It's even gotten to the point where some of my creative team members who, like you mentioned, the word Excel or data, and they get a little nervous, or, don't really like that idea. Mostly because that's not their specialty, right? They'll ask, like, how did that campaign perform? And they're starting to even understand some of the terminology. So the fact that we're empowering our team across the agency to help lean into those smarter strategies, recommendations, whether it's from creative and A/B testing, or whether it's from actually platforms used to launch, you name it, we're able to glean those insights to be better planners for our clients.
I love that. So for me, like the whole flow and how you use it as an organization, and some of the sort of bringing together the creative team and the data team, and like using a common tool. Just love that whole ecosystem that you have and the way you're using it. So love that. I do have a curiosity on this. So overall, how does the business work? Like the flow. Would love to know more. And it could be a different conversation. I already am sort of learning so much, but generally for somebody from outside, right? Like what's the process around strategy with the client, and performing, like running the campaign, all of that. Like just a quick summary for the audience.
Yeah, you bet. So we are a full service agency. So we have a full creative staff, which really is comprised of our video, copywriters, editors, graphic designers, you name it. I've given you an overview of the performance team. Right. We have our strategy team or department, and these are the individuals that are comprised of your project managers. We also have strategists, people who really root themselves in understanding the friction points in your buyer's journey and how marketing can help alleviate for some of those, whether it's deep into the sales channel level or whether it's more at the awareness level, and kind of everywhere in between. I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our ops team as well. They work for all of us and help keep our agency running so we can, keep things running for our clients. But all of that being said, clients can work with us in a multitude of different ways. There are clients who use us just for particular services. There are clients who use us for all of our services, and kind of everywhere in between. A lot of our clients are actually relationship based. So we get to know them, meet them. We do a couple projects. They like our work, and it naturally evolves from there. But we also work with clients through formal RFP process as well, based off their needs. In fact, I was just at a pitch yesterday. So that happens regularly as well. From there, that's where we really try and embed ourselves as a business partner. We invest pretty greatly into making sure that we know what's happening in your business, behind your walls, with your team, whether that's sending people to events or whether that's doing really deep dive discovery meetings, having our team go out to wherever that client is locally and spending days there. Those are all the things that we do to make sure we feel like we're not providing marketing surface level strategic ideas. We typically do that in like an annual planning format, but we do off the cuff product launch promotions and campaigns, and we do brand ecosystems, brand strategy. I mean, I don't want to say we do it all because there's no way everybody does it all, but I would say for what a brand needs to be successful today, our team probably has seen or done it. From a planning standpoint, we've kind of talked about how we integrate that data. But what is unique is we do buy all our media in-house, with the exception of trade partners in the media space. But we do all of our programmatic buying in-house, all of our CTV, all things Google offerings, Meta offerings, all things social. We do that in-house, and that allows us to pull levers for our clients quite more quickly. So when we're seeing results in analytics that might tell us a story, we're able to walk to somebody's desk or shoot a quick email and make those optimizations in the campaign, change up the creative, rob Peter to pay Paul from one media type to another, for example, to make those.
Yeah, love that. I just such a great sort of high level, but also like details of like what's going on with an agency like yours. Great learning. And then you did cover some part at the end, is the space is just so vast, right? Like so many media companies coming in. And I guess, how does TapClicks help with getting you to that business goal, just with this complexity and all the different things that you do? Just a high level.
Yeah, I mean, the media space is more fragmented than it's ever been, and it's only getting worse, right? Like when you used to even buy TV, you would think like, okay, I'm going to go to like our local TV provider, and I might talk to like the primary dish provider, and you're done. Well, now you've got the traditional forms of television, but then you have every single independent streaming TV provider today, right? And then they all have different targeting mechanisms within and audiences built. And that's if you're using their pre-built audiences and not layering in CRM or first-party data, right? So the space is just getting messier. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, right? Like we know that ChatGPT is going to be allowing us to start serving ads, and that's another new one we have to learn and add to the repertoire there. But I think what TapClicks does for us is it empowers us with data to help us make informed decision about how we pivot with the landscape, right? So you don't say like, oh, streaming TV launch, I'm going to go spend, shift 50% of our media spend to that platform. Instead, you're going to dip your toe in, you're going to test different targeting methods, you're going to see what's working and why it's working, and then you're going to test that theory on maybe another streaming TV provider to see if you can replicate results. And then if you see good results, then you might start saying, oh, wow, the results are really what we want. We're going to start making those pivots. And that's just, an example of connected TV coming on board. You could do that with even traditional, more traditional media platforms, such as newsletters through some of the trade media, for example. But TapClicks helps us tell the right story to the client to say, hey, we know this was your business goal. So maybe connected TV doesn't make sense, right? Because you're looking for leads and not for brand visibility. And so we can look back at the data and say, like, this is how and why this is working. These are the things we tried. This is the audience we used that performed the best. This is the creative that's performing. So it doesn't become a matter of what you might like or what you might think. It's about what the data is telling you. That is kind of hard to argue with.
Yeah, I love that. I love the how you tied to what's coming and what has been our reality, as you said, with the fragmented media. And it's always, I keep saying this, like, this is always like TikTok became a thing and Snapchat before that, like even at a consumer space. And then, as you said, like for specific trades, there's like so many that are very niche. So just to get something, just to get started, I think it's like fast and then get some output fast so you can experiment and iterate is I see the value there a lot. So
Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, you're not gonna make big shifts, or you shouldn't make big shifts unless you understand the value. And you need a tool that can measure that for you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, love that. And then I can see how that itself sort of adds to your business sort of results, because now you can do these experiments, and maybe this new media you would not have tried if you did not know you could sort of get the results fast. But
Yep.
now you can, and maybe that's like the most successful thing for the next year.
Yeah,
Right.
and the idea, right, is we have some clients who are really risk averse and they're hungry to try new things, and then we have some clients who are maybe more cautious and want to kind of stand back. So we can take those more risk averse clients and allow them to be the ones to help us dip the toe in the water in a way that is still protecting their investment.
Mm.
And then we can show those results to clients who maybe are more cautious and show them the value. And I think that's what each of those different types of clients appreciate, right? The clients that are risk averse want the agency that's hungry to go after new things and be in those spaces. And they want to understand the value. And the people who are a little bit more cautious want to understand when and how they should implement new things in a way that's also really well and safe protected. So it allows us to balance both of those.
Love that. I think that's actually, by the way, a great sort of advice to a lot of businesses, especially in this space, is how you sort of use your expertise in like dealing with various companies, various sectors. I know you are big into like coming up with benchmarks, anonymized benchmarks. So it's just such an important way for you to service your customers, show them your value.
Yeah.
And Lessing Flynn does a great job. Thanks, Shannon, for it.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. And then I will say, what other advice would you give to somebody in your space, like in another agency that's trying, like probably facing the same challenges that you would have, or like a similar company would? And then what were the things in your head? I know you mentioned a little bit of like looking at all the data connectors and looking at the data management piece, but what advice would you give? What are the parameters you would suggest for them to look at when they're evaluating different vendors?
Yeah. I think it's understanding the types of roles you have to support the tools you put in place. So, for example, we don't have one individual that sits in a data analytics role. And the reason we don't is because we believe the people who are providing the recommendation should be just as close to the data rather than them feeling separate from that. So our media planners, our website, developers, those individuals are the ones actively doing the reporting on those avenues and areas. So I think for us, that was the clear indicator that we needed a solution that had a lot of those direct integrators, was widget-based, was easy to build, so that we didn't have to take those individuals away from being effective in the roles they were sitting in. Instead, we wanted a tool that could arm us to be more effective. I'm not going to lie. It's not like we turned on TapClicks and we were master users and had it fully integrated in 2 weeks, right? It's a little bit of a slow burn at the beginning. So I think my advice too is just recognize the clients who are going to see the most value and are the most risk averse and care about metrics the most, and start developing your reports with them before you try and roll it out across all of your client base, because that's just going to be overwhelming. Depending on the number of clients you have, that onboarding period may be 12 months. You might be trying to onboard, 2 clients a month or, 15 clients a month. So understand what your bandwidth is, understand what role you want these individuals to have in a platform, and give yourself grace and patience as you onboard it. And allow people to poke holes. I think some of the best things we do is re-roll out our reports or our new dashboards to our strategy team members and say, like, okay, you're the client. Like, they don't live and breathe what we do every day. Look at this. Like, what doesn't make sense? What feels overwhelming? What doesn't tell the full story? Because we're so used to it. We fill in those gaps on our own, or we know it, so we don't have to read it, if that makes sense. And so a lot of times they're really great at helping us make sure we're shoring up the reports too. So leveraging individuals who don't live and breathe in the data and analytics space are great tools and advocates too.
That's amazing. I had like so many great nuggets out of that. Like the 3 pieces I would say is, first is I make sure that someone who is sort of like presenting or doing strategy is also close to the data. Like, love that, because this cross-functional
Yep.
skill set, right? Especially in today's world with AI, like teaching everyone to do learn new things is like a great advice to everyone. And then the other two parts of like getting like seeking feedback from different teams, I think that is such a good one. Often that doesn't happen across all the industries, not just agencies. That's such a good one. And then also just knowing from the start, like thinking through what do you want to achieve and then go and do it, right? Like, not just, okay, I need these 7 different tools, but sort of like, is this the right one for you? Like defining that first and then go after and do the analysis. So
Yep.
uh, yeah, love that. Cool. This is such a great sort of conversation. I can actually ask you many more questions. So thank you so much for your time. If you wanted to share anything at the as a last question or as a last sort of comment, or about TapClicks, about the business, about the industry, would
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I think just to tie a bow on everything, I think one of the reasons we've been a very long time partner of TapClicks is truly just the customer support you guys provide. So just a moment to give you guys a shout out. You helped us learn in the platform. There's always somebody available. There are no silly questions. You've helped us fix things we've broken. Our customer relations contact is just phenomenal. I mean, I think at this point she knows my kids' names. And so just recognizing how much you care about our business to help us be successful, I think is really the icing on the cake, because you can find tech that works, but you can't always find people that support the tech. And so the fact that you guys have that support system for your partners is fabulous.
Thank you so much. Great to hear. Thanks, Anna Yetke.
Shout out to Anna.
Thank you so much, Shannon. It was such a great talking to you, and we'll catch up again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.